They told you living past 100 is rare. A genetic accident, a lottery ticket, you either win or lose at birth. They told you longevity belongs to billionaires with private doctors, cryogenic labs, experimental injections, and pills that cost more than your house. They told you aging is inevitable, decline is normal, and your job is to accept it quietly. That story is convenient. And it is false. While Silicon Valley burns billions chasing molecules that barely move the needle, there is an island where ordinary people quietly shattered every rule of aging science. No gene editing, no stem cell clinics, no supplements stacked like a pharmacy shelf. Just farmers, fishermen, shopkeepers, and grandparents who routinely live past 100. Not one or two outliers. 50 per 100,000. Okinawa, Japan. On TS Island, you are 8 times less likely to die from a heart attack, 7 times less likely to develop cancer, and far more likely to stay independent into your late 90s. Not trapped in nursing homes. Not sedated. Alive. Functional. Clear-minded. And here is the uncomfortable part. They're not doing it with futuristic medicine. They are doing it with 5 plants. 5 humble foods grown in typhoon-battered soil and shallow mineral-rich waters. Every one of these plants has pharmaceutical-level biological effects. Every one has been studied, and every one has been quietly ignored. Not because they do not work, but because you cannot patent what an island has eaten for 400 years. Welcome to Lost Nature Vault. And once you understand what you are about to hear, you will never look at aging the same way again. Let's start by destroying the biggest myth first. This is not genetics. We know this because Okinawans who moved to Brazil or Hawaii lost their longevity advantage within a single generation. Same DNA. Same ancestry. Same genes. Different food. Shorter lives. Longevity followed the plants, not the people. That fact alone collapses the entire genetic lottery narrative. The first plant is not exotic. It is not rare. It does not come in a capsule. It is the foundation of Okinawan survival itself. A root that once provided nearly 70% of all calories consumed by Okinawan centenarians. The Okinawan purple sweet potato, known locally as bania. In the 1600s, Okinawa was regularly devastated by typhoons. Rice fields flooded. Vegetables were destroyed. Starvation was common, but this purple root, growing deep underground in volcanic soil, survived. It became the difference between famine and life. That volcanic soil concentrated something extraordinary. Anthocyanins, the same purple pigments found in blueberries, but in quantities that shocked researchers. Studies at Kanazawa University examined the Ayamurasaki cultivar and found its anthocyanins showed stronger radical activity than grape skin, red cabbage, elderberry, purple corn, and even pure vitamin C. Read that again. This food outperformed laboratory antioxidant standards. But the real power is not just antioxidant strength. These compounds activate NRF2-mediated pathways. That means they do not just fight damage directly. They tell your body to build its own defense systems. Glutathione, your internal cellular armor. This is the difference between outsourcing protection and training your own army. Research published in the Journal of Food Science and Nutrition showed these compounds also regulate glucose metabolism. They improve insulin sensitivity. They protect the pancreas, liver, brain, and muscles from oxidative stress. And despite being a carbohydrate, the Okinawan purple sweet potato has a glycemic index of just 44, compared to 74 white potatoes. That matters. In a 2005 study, Carno and colleagues found the anthocyanins in purple sweet potato had greater antioxidant activity than ascorbic acid, tert-butyl hydroxyanisole, and gallic acid. These are laboratory gold standards, beaten by a root. Yet despite forming the caloric backbone of the longest-lived population on Earth, despite decades of research showing protection against metabolic decline, inflammation, and cognitive damage, the purple sweet potato has never received a pharmaceutical rollout. Why will it? An unpatentable food that costs pennies per pound is an economic dead end. The second plant is even more familiar and even more dismissed. Turmeric. In Okinawa, It is called Yukon. Goshin Sato lived to 104. When researchers from the Okinawa Centenarian study asked what she ate, turmeric appeared again and again. Not as a supplement, as food. Daily curcumin, its active compound, has been used for over 2,000 years, but modern research revealed something unsettling. Curcumin binds directly to amyloid beta plaques, the proteins associated with Alzheimer's disease. In laboratory models, it prevents these plaques from assembling into their most toxic forms. It reduces tau phosphorylation. It scavenges free radicals. It dampens neuroinflammation. Population data reinforces this. Regions where turmeric is consumed daily show significantly lower rates of neurodegenerative disease. Older adults who regularly eat curry consistently perform better on cognitive tests later in life, and the safety profile is remarkable. Human trials, using up to 8,000 milligrams per day for months, showed no serious toxicity. Compare that to modern Alzheimer's drugs that cost tens of thousands of dollars annually, clear plaques without meaningful cognitive improvement, and carry severe risks. Here is where the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. There are over 1,000 published studies on curcumin. Animal models are compelling. Population data is strong. But human trials are often designed to fail by using formulations with poor absorption. When researchers use enhanced bioavailable forms, results change. Memory improves. Cognitive scores rise. Amyloid burden decreases. The industry could fund large-scale trials with optimized formulations. It is not. A compound used safely for millennia cannot deliver patented profit margins. So instead, the narrative becomes promising but inconclusive, while Okinawan elders quietly keep eating it. The third plant is the one doctors rarely mention, but Okinawans eat without hesitation. Goya, bitter melon. Blue Zone's researcher Don Buettner describes it as a cornerstone of the Okinawan diet. Centenarians consume it multiple times per week. And there is a reason. Bitter melon contains compounds such as charantin and polypeptide P that structurally resemble human insulin. They do not merely lower blood sugar. They help cells absorb glucose more efficiently. They improve insulin sensitivity. They activate metabolic pathways in muscle tissue. Clinical studies across multiple countries show consistent effects. Improved fasting glucose, reduced post-meal spikes. Average reductions of over 30 milligrams per deciliter. Buettner summarized it plainly. Bitter melon shows anti-diabetic effects comparable to pharmaceuticals. Now, consider the economics. The global diabetes drug market is worth tens of billions annually and growing. Hundreds of millions of patients. Entire corporate empires built on daily prescriptions. There is no incentive to prove a vegetable works. So studies remain short. 4 weeks. 8 weeks. 12 weeks. Never the multi-year trials required for definitive conclusions. Not because it would not work, but because no one will pay to prove something they cannot own. Meanwhile, Okinawans continue eating it and continue avoiding the metabolic collapse seen elsewhere. The fourth plant grows where most people never look, in shallow coastal waters where volcanic minerals meet the sea. Mozuku, a brown seaweed unique to Okinawa. 99% of Japan's mozuku comes from this region. It contains fucoidan, one of the most studied marine compounds in existence. Fucoidan does something rare. It reshapes the gut ecosystem. Japanese researchers discovered that people who regularly eat seaweed develop unique gut bacteria capable of digesting and absorbing these compounds. Some of these enzymes appear to originate from marine bacteria transferred through diet. It is a biological feedback loop. Eat seaweed, and your body becomes better at using seaweed. A 2018 study showed Okinawan residents excreted significantly higher levels of fucoidan metabolites than mainland Japanese, indicating greater absorption. Fucoidan supports beneficial gut bacteria, reduces inflammation markers, improves lipid profiles, and shows antiviral and immune-modulating properties in research settings. And yet, despite decades of data, only a handful of clinical trials exist. Compare that to the flood of funding for synthetic immune modulators. Fucoidan cannot be patented. It has been eaten for centuries, so it remains invisible. The fifth plant may be the most shocking of all. Ashitaba. Its name means tomorrow's leaf, because when you harvest one today, another grows by tomorrow. In 2019, researchers at Graz University of Technology tested 180 compounds for their ability to activate autophagy, the cell's internal recycling system. Autophagy removes damaged proteins, dysfunctional mitochondria, and cellular debris. It is essential for longevity, and it declines with age. One compound stood out: 4,4-dimethoxyholcone, or DMC, found naturally in Ashitaba. DMC activated autophagy in human cells, yeast, worms, and fruit flies. It extended lifespan in every model tested. The mechanism was independent of M2R, meaning it enhanced cellular cleanup without suppressing protein synthesis. This matters. Autophagy decline is a recognized driver of aging. DMC essentially tells cells to take out the trash. The findings were published in Nature Communications, one of the most respected journals in the world. And then, silence. No Phase 3 trials, no longevity pipeline, no rush to market. Why? Ashitaba grows wild. DMC is natural. You cannot own it. 5 plants, 1 island. The longest-lived population ever studied. Each plant targets a core pillar of aging: metabolic stability, neuroprotection, inflammation control, gut resilience, cellular cleanup. None require futuristic medicine. None require permission. The Okinawan Centenarians did not wait for FDA approval. They did not wait for billion-dollar trials. They ate what the land and sea provided, and they lived long enough to prove it worked. This knowledge was never lost. It was sidelined, because it does not scale into profit, but it scales into life. You do not need Okinawa's volcanic soil to begin. Purple sweet potatoes are available in specialty markets. Look for the Banyamo variety. Turmeric is everywhere. Pair it with black pepper to enhance absorption. Bitter melon and mozuku are found in Asian grocers. Ashitaba can be grown from seed or sourced carefully. The Okinawan elders did not chase immortality. They practiced consistency, and consistency, not miracles, built their centuries. Longevity is not science fiction. It is not a luxury for elites. It is not waiting in a lab. It is growing quietly, the way it always has, in gardens, in shallow seas, in traditions older than the pharmaceutical industry itself. And now you know why you were never taught this. If you want to continue uncovering the knowledge modern systems prefer you forget, subscribe to Lost Nature Vault. We are preserving what time proved and profit ignored.